Gonna be bluntly honest with you. If you have no shop and you have no products, you're gonna get zero sales. Hi, welcome to my first video of my brand new YouTube channel. You're probably wondering, Kristen, why are you outside and why are you using your headphones as a microphone? Well, as you're gonna learn, tip number one is to start with what you have. You don't need to buy fancy equipment or wait till everything is perfect before you get started. So here I am taking my own advice, starting my YouTube channel with just my phone and my headphones, but we're gonna do it. So hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a printmaker, an artist based in Virginia. I started printmaking last July, so it's officially been a full year, but I didn't start selling on Etsy until September of 2025. But I officially just hit 100 sales, which I feel like is a pretty big milestone in my art career. So I just wanted to share with you, how I did that, what worked for me, and kind of what I would do differently if I was going to start my Etsy shop today. When I started last September, I only had 100 followers on TikTok, and I honestly wasn't sure if anyone was gonna buy my art, if anyone liked my art. I was just kind of throwing it out there into the void and seeing what happened. And it took me 9.5 months to hit that 100 sales. I didn't have very many viral moments. I didn't have a month where I hit a ton of sales. This is not a, how to make six figures on Etsy or how to get rich off of your art or any of that. And I think it's really great for people who are starting at the beginning, like I did last September, to see people who are still building, who are still in that beginning stage. I wouldn't even say I'm in the middle yet. I'm still we're maybe 10% of the way there. My total revenue for the year is $770 or something, so this is not one of those videos. Lesson number one. I was so terrified to open my Etsy shop. And I think this is a feeling a lot of people feel when they first start sharing their art with the world. I was like, it's just gonna flop, no one's gonna buy it, will anyone even like my art? And overcoming, that self-doubt is really hard, especially in the beginning. I still feel that most days. I feel that right now making this video because the truth is we all have to start somewhere, and starting somewhere can be embarrassing and uncomfortable. And, but the truth is, we all have to start from the beginning. We all have to start from the bottom and work our way up. And I think nowadays seeing so many people on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, they're making six figures, they're, full-time artists, they are going viral constantly, they are making thousands of sales, or running huge mail clubs, which we'll get to mail clubs in future videos. But I think the mistake a lot of beginners make is waiting until they feel ready and waiting until everything is perfect, or waiting until you have the perfect equipment or the perfect paper or the perfect supplies or the perfect tools or the perfect whatever it is in your niche. But you don't need that. You can start out with beginner tools and still become successful. So I think for lesson one, kind of my advice to you is to start with 2 to 5 products and make a logo on Canva. I love Canva. Artists are divided, I feel like, on this topic. I love Canva. Logos on there are very generic. Try to make your own. We're artists. So, I took a blob off of one of the logos and made it into an ink blob so that it would work with my printmaking. And it's been my logo for months. So I would say if you're gonna start an Etsy shop today, and you should, if you've been thinking about it, you should. I'm gonna be bluntly honest with you. If you have no shop and you have no products, you're gonna get zero sales. Zero. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to just start. I think it costs $25 now, which can be a little bit of a barrier. I understand when you're not making money yet, even though small costs, are a lot, but just start. Lesson number two is that to be a successful artist nowadays, I truly believe that you also have to be a content creator. Now, this is hard for artists. I feel like a lot of us, are more introverted, would rather just make art, do not want to post. But while I think Etsy is better than a traditional website because it has that built-in traffic already there for you, you still have to post about it. I know, you're gonna be like, I hate this. For the first several months that I posted on TikTok exclusively, I chose one platform and I was like, I'm gonna stick to one. Until you have a better handle on content creating, I think it's best to pick one and stick with it. Because in the beginning, when I was trying to juggle TikTok and Instagram and all of these things, it's it becomes so overwhelming that you just don't post anything. So start small. Start with, let's say, TikTok. For several months, I only posted videos that my face wasn't even in. I just posted my art. And I still started getting sales. But I will say, I hate to say it, guys. I hate to say it. The second I started posting my face on TikTok is when my art started popping off. I know. We hate to hear it. But there is some direct correlation between me posting my face on TikTok and me making more sales. Because people actually connect to you as an artist. You know, they see your art and they're like, cool. But once people start really kind of combining the idea of you and your art, I got this really nice comment on TikTok the other day. I had posted a video about, like, I didn't know if I had an art style yet. I still don't know if I have an art style yet. But someone commented and they said, like, something along the lines of, like, every time I see your art, I know it's you. And I was just like, that is such a sweet thing to say. Like, but it wasn't until I started posting myself that people could really resonate with my art, if that makes sense. So lesson number 2 is that you should be posting yourself and your art. I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news here, but truly that is a huge factor in how people connect to you. Lesson number 3. I know I said in lesson 1 that you should just start with 2 to 5 and start small, but truly having a lot of products does matter. I think shops do better when they're consistently posting new listings. It gives you more chances to be found, you know, by the Etsy traffic, and, you know, it has also allowed me to have some repeat customers even, because I post new things and they're like, wow. Okay, so now that we've hit my 3 biggest lessons, let's start talking about my biggest mistakes in starting my Etsy shop. Now, in the beginning, I priced things way too low. Now, pricing is a really hard thing to talk about as an artist. I think it's really hard to gauge the value of your own work. I think fellow artists will understand that. I've only recently started raising my prices. I think one of the other things about being a beginner is that it's really easy to be like, well, I'm a beginner, so my stuff shouldn't cost that much. And it's like, well, this is still a skill you learned and a skill you're perfecting, and like, I think pricing your art too low makes other people expect that art will be cheap, and it kind of devalues other artists as well when you price yourself too low. Like I said, I'm still working on pricing my own art. I've just recently started raising my prices by $1, and you might say $1. I know, but we all start somewhere. Okay, of course my phone died, so part 2. But the second mistake that I made when I started my Etsy shop was not paying attention to Etsy SEO. And you might be like, what is SEO? And same. It stands for search engine optimization, because at the end of the day, Etsy is a search engine, just like Google. And basically, you want to have the correct keywords so that when people are searching for products, that yours kind of comes to the top. And this is something I didn't really research a lot when I started. I kind of just came up with titles and descriptions and keywords and didn't really do much research into it as I should have. So one recommendation I definitely have is to do a little bit of research on SEO and kind of what keywords in your niche work the best on Etsy. And there's a lot of creators out there that talk about this, so you can definitely find some more information on that. I think the last mistake I made that I want to talk about is comparison. And it's something I kind of talked about earlier, and that's, you know, you see all of these people doing so well and you think, why is my art not doing better? And you really start to compare yourself to other people and their growth. And I think, you know, they say, like, comparison is the thief of joy, you know? And truly, like, focusing on your own journey and where you are at and what you can do today to make your business better tomorrow is going to get you way further than just comparing yourself to all of these other creators and artists out there. If I lost my entire Etsy shop and I had to start over tomorrow, what would I do differently? Well, I would immediately post 5 products with decent pictures and make a logo and a header and just start. Just have the courage to just do it. I'm like Nike over here, but whatever. Just do it. I would really work to build up my listings as soon as possible. Like I said, I think having more listings does translate to having more success, because people also see that you are a more trustworthy bank, you know? Like, if you go onto a store and you see 2 listings, you're going to be like, that's a little sketchy. But if you go into a store and you see 30 listings, you're going to be like, okay, they're kind of established. So I would try to get to 30 listings as quick as possible. Not worrying about perfection, but getting them out there. Then I would immediately start posting content on at least one platform and posting myself immediately in that content. People will resonate with you as a person. I promise. I would then really take the time to do research, do market research, figure out what are people making in your niche, what are people searching for on Etsy, and what should you be making more of? And really focusing in on those things, I think will make you the most successful from day one. And I think the last thing I would like to leave you with is like these first 100 sales for me were not about the money. Like I said, I made like $700, which is great. I'm so grateful. Don't let me get you wrong. The first bit of building your business should be about figuring out what is working, what's not working. One of the funny things I learned is that people really love fish. People love fish in any form. Throw a sardine at them, throw any fish at them, they love it. So one of the things I'll be focusing on is creating more products with fish. I also, started my mail club, which is ocean themed, but that was one funny insight is you realize like fish products sell really well. So maybe start there. If you don't know what to paint, draw, print, etc., start with the fish. Whether you are still waiting on your first sale, you're a little more established, or you're somewhere kind of in the void like I am, I wish you so much success on your Etsy journey, and I hope that you will subscribe to my channel to see more content like this in the future and really follow along on my art journey with me. So, doodles.